Haney Biz presents Entrepreneurs Unlimited. And here's your host, Mark Haney.
All right, and welcome back. And we are here with Kyle Lawson, artist, entrepreneur, and a hell of a great guy. How you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing great, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming down to the studio. I know you inadvertently went down to our offices in Rockland, and but you made it down here. So
Yes,
thank
sir.
you for. Let's try to make it worth the confusion. So sorry about that confusion. Anyway, let's talk about art.
For sure.
Art is a business, and you are a heck of a great painter. Talk to us about your artwork.
Oh, you are too kind. Bless you. Let's see. Art is kind of a different business because it's almost like you're selling what comes from your heart. So it kind of makes it a different business model.
So you say comes from your heart. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, the things that you're creating, the things that are going on in your life that are translated onto a canvas or onto a work of art, it becomes part of you. And so when you're going to present that to the public or get it out there in the world, then it's kind of a little bit more of a personal game than other types of business.
Is it hard to part ways with something that's such a part of you? You're selling the paintings, or in some cases you're donating them. How tough is it to part ways with something you love?
Yeah, to me, I think that's the whole purpose is with creative expression is being able to take what's going on inside of you, all the different layers of your character, your depth, and your subconscious, and being able to put that out there and let someone else enjoy it and let someone else take that and bring that into their life and decide what that means to them.
Yeah. And now I met you at an Allegiant Giving fundraiser, and you were kind enough to donate a painting. And when I saw that painting, it almost made me feel like I knew you better, and I didn't even know you. It's a painting of the American flag, and it's sitting here. And for those of you that watch us on YouTube, you can kind of see the flag and what this is. But this is a flag that I think brings out something that's important to me, and it's really the American dream, right? This flag, to me, I see that and I think about all the things that I want and all the things that are great about this country. Now, what does it do for you? Why paint that? Because it's a unique flag and it's very cool.
Yeah, the flag is such an amazing symbol of freedom, freedom of expression, non-discrimination, and the freedom to be yourself. And I feel like we have an amazing privilege being in America to be able to create what we can dream up.
Yeah, yeah. Now, what is your American dream? You obviously still believe in the American dream. What's your dream?
Oh man, my dream is just to continue to love the Lord, surround myself with my family and my wife, and just continue to grow in relationships of love and trust with others.
And okay, so talk about those relationships. Who's the key relationships in your life?
I'd say I'm blessed with such an amazing support staff in my life. A few years ago, my life took a turn, and it took me all the way down to basically I was homeless. I was addicted to methamphetamines. I was on the streets.
Oh man.
And I had to reinvent myself, and that took a lot of effort and a lot of prayer from my family and friends, and I was able to overcome this only because of them, only because of their unconditional love.
Now, so many of us as entrepreneurs, we run into obstacles that are, well, I mean, everybody in life runs into tough things, but
yeah.
You are kind of at a rock bottom there.
Yeah.
What did that look like?
It was a very dark place, and but sometimes you can discover great things about yourself when they say you don't know that God is all you need until God is all you have. And being able to take your mess and turn it into your message flip it on its head and be able to use it for good. I just took it as an opportunity to reinvent myself and kind of change my heart and tweak it so that I could build myself on a platform of trust and love and responsibility to my friends and family.
And who was, beside yourself and the man upstairs, who was most helpful at that time?
My father. My father came down and showed much grace, pulled me out of my struggles, set me back on my feet again. It gave me the opportunity to reinvent myself.
What would you say to your dad right now?
Oh, man, I love you, Pop, more than anything.
Wow.
Bless you.
So, advice to entrepreneurs or any of us that go through these, go through low moments in our life, what advice would you have for us?
I'd say that all of us, little by little, we can build great things. We just layer by layer, day by day, making the right decisions on a daily basis. Over time, we can put ourselves on the right path. And what path that we travel on decides where we end up. And basically, it all starts with making those small, wise decisions on a daily basis.
And okay, so let's talk a little bit more about your art. We've got the flag here in the background. No, you talked about behind me a little further is a California flag, and then there's a lion. Or I'm looking behind me. It's pink. So is it a lioness? I don't know the difference. What do those photos mean to you? Or those pictures mean to you?
Yeah, these are all just different expressions of myself put onto canvas. Basically tapping in the backgrounds of all of my works are kind of a creative freestyle expression. It's kind of tapping into an instinctual freedom. And basically it's layering and layering of personality, layering of experiences, building this kind of compositional balancing act that we all face in life, that we all face in our businesses. In relating to others, it's all a game of layers. It's a game of balancing different colors and harmonies.
Well, let's talk about balance in life because, I mean, as entrepreneurs, it's tough to juggle everything. And I've heard of the term starving artist, right? Where it's not an easy business to be in. What's a day in the life look for a guy in your shoes?
Yeah, that's so true, man. For me, my relationship with creativity is kind of like a balancing act. Many times creativity can be like a beast that I've got to tame. It's got to be respected because if it's not in proper check, it can kind of take over your life. It can take over all of your priorities and kind of convince you that it requires precedence in your life.
So a day in the life for you,
Yeah.
though, you get up in the morning. What time do you get up in the morning?
Yeah, I get up about 5:30 or 6.
Yeah, you get up early, and I know
Yeah.
you've got multiple jobs,
Yes,
and
sir.
you're still painting. How do you juggle it all? How do you do that?
Yeah, I juggle it just by hustling. You know, you got
Yes.
to put in the extra time and the extra hours, and if it's something that you love, then that's what you'll go the distance for.
And what's the payoff look like for you,
Oh man,
long term?
the payoff long term is amazing in a way that I'm able to work with such big-hearted people. I work with a lot of charities and a lot of great causes, and being able to interact with those people and meet like-minded individuals, that's what drives me.
So what's right around the corner for Kyle Lawson? What can we look for in the near future?
Oh man, I just plan to continue to grow in my faith and my relationship with others, continue to balance the chaos that is the art business, and just continue to thrive in the city and continue to make a place and bring people together and just promote inspiration and a positive message through my work.
If that's not painting a picture of the American dream, I do not know what is. I want to thank Kyle Lawson for sharing his story. I know that couldn't have been easy to share that, Kyle, but you're doing great things for our community, for Allegiant Giving, which is a charitable organization that I helped found. And I know you came out and you've helped us. You're helping other charitable organizations. You've got a huge heart, and I can't thank you enough for joining us today. I also want to thank Tim Berry, Berry Lumber, Burco Redwood, and his inspirational story about community and family and the team that he's built over at Burco. And now I want to take a chance to lighten it up a tiny bit and talk about our sponsor, Limitless Limo. Now, Limitless is doing great things out there. I know they're running all over town today. I think they've got beer tours, wine tours, bachelorette parties. It ain't no ordinary limo ride. It's Limitless. So I want to thank Limitless, our sponsor, and I want to talk a little bit about next week. Next week, we really have a unique opportunity to meet a husband and wife team that are building a business that is very, very close to my heart, and that business is baseball, and baseball season's coming. We're going to meet Dave and Shauna Wells, the owners of Bases Loaded. Coming up after the break, though, you're going to hear my closing thoughts on the American dream. This is Haney. This is Mark Haney, Entrepreneurs Unlimited, spreading the entrepreneurial message on Sports 1140 KHTK, streaming live, podcast, and YouTube at haneybiz.com. You know what? I've enjoyed today's show so much. Met two great guys, and talking to Tim, that's built such a strong company, and we asked him the question, Tim, when did you become a man? And I thought his answer was interesting and impactful because it's when you first realize that you need to take responsibility for things beyond yourself. I think so many times there's a wake up call that happens, and I think his happened while it was right in the middle of his business. He has the family going, he's got the wife, he's got all these responsibilities, the employees. So when did your bell ring where you said, oh, man, this is it. It's time to step up and become a man or become an adult, if the women out there listening. When did the bell ring? When did that light bulb go off? When did the innocence of childhood suddenly appear in the rearview mirror? I'm here with Marcus Haney, and we're talking about the American dream, and you got to take responsibility for going and getting it yourself. So, Marcus, when did you become a man?
Great question. I think, I became a man when I became a father. And I think the first time I realized I was a man was on my way to my deployment in Afghanistan, when I knew I had to lead 11 other men, bring them home safely, and was responsible to their families and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, such a wake-up call, and so many of us, Kyle Lawson talked about, a time where he had to rebound and take responsibility for his life. You were helping take responsibility for other lives, and there's those times when it's time to step up, and I think we all can kind of look back at some point and say that's when things change, whether it be having a child and whether it be leading men into combat.
When would you say it was your time that you discovered that you were a man?
You know what? I'm still trying to discover. I'm still looking for that moment. I think when you said having children, I think my wake-up calls happened around the responsibilities associated with having some mouths to feed, and like Tim had the small business that I was running, and just trying to put it all together. And it's like, I guess it's me. It's time to grow up a little bit. Right. And but I think I'm still kind of a kid at heart. So in some ways, I'm still kind of growing up. But if you think about what stage in life you're at, because I'm not in the same stage in life. I think Tim and I were in our early 50s. We're kind of in that third quarter of our life, and I'm talking to Kyle. He's probably in the second quarter of life. Right. Marcus, you're just entering the second quarter. So, what stage of life are you at? What quarter are you in? Because I think we have to do a self-check at some point. If you're still a young man, if we have some high school guys in here or some younger people listening, hey, maybe you're still trying to, if you're still relying on your parents to pay your way through college, look, you're still in that first quarter of your life, and that's okay. But there will be a time when you decide, I guess it's up to me. And I would suggest that the sooner you decide that, the better you are. The sooner you begin to understand that if it's meant to be, it's up to me. Right. And I know that's a little cliche, but it's so true. I mean, I remember as when I was at the end of my first quarter of life, right? I was in my early 20s, maybe 19, something like that. And I remember this TV show. Back then, it was infomercials just first started coming out. And there's this one guy, Ed Beckley, and he would say, watch what unsuccessful people do and don't do it. And he had that squeaky voice that I'm trying to copy a little bit. But watch what unsuccessful people do and don't do it. And I started thinking about, what do people that are not winning, how are they different than people who are winning? Because there's patterns that end up happening with people that win. There's commonalities. And it really, I started watching people. And I noticed that people who were having a little bit less success had some commonalities as well. And I noticed that a lot of people in this world, and I notice it today, are complacent.
Right.
There's a lot of complacency. And I think back to when I was in that first quarter of life, right before I bought my first house. I think I was 20, and thinking about the American dream. I used to like to drive through the nice neighborhoods, and that would motivate me. I would get excited and think, what do these people do for a living? Are they entrepreneurs? They're obviously successful. How do I do that? And it made me want to work harder. And so at that point, after watching, what successful people do and then watching what some less successful people were doing, I decided I'm not going to be complacent. I declared war on complacency. I began not accepting the status quo, and I cruised through high school. I was the C student with a social life and focusing on sports and having fun. But you know what? I grew up somewhere along there, and I think if you think about the victims, people who have that victim mentality, it's always somebody else's fault. And gosh, I don't want to be like that. Or the procrastinator who, just puts things off to the future. And I know sometimes I'm like that, and I know that's not how you win. And there's other people that just sort of get, hey, that's good enough. I don't have that high of expectations, and their dreams really aren't as big. And so I think that complacency is something that we all fight, and it's something that all businesses have to deal with their team. I think it's what all entrepreneurs have to deal with at different times in their lives. So what I would say is regarding the American dream, we do need to avoid complacency as a country. And I think Donald Trump makes a shocking statement, but there's some truth behind his call to the American people that we need to think a little bit differently. So, I mean, I think the country we live in is much better in a lot of ways from a lifestyle perspective than it was back when I was a kid. I mean, you look at the neighborhood; it's twice the nicest neighborhoods now are at least twice as nice. The transportation is 10 times as cool, and the communication is obviously it's 100 times as fast. There are so many great things happening in our world, and I think we got to take advantage of it, and we got to live with the dream in mind at all times. And I'm going to hold up Kyle Lawson's photo that he painted for me of the American flag, and on the side of it, you will see that it says, never above you, never below you,
always
by your side.